Uh, Ladies and gentlemen, this was a hard one. Uh, Forgive me for the words that I'm about to speak, bro. Please forgive me for the words I'm about to speak. Fucking please. This is probably the biggest disagreement I feel I have with the developers right now. The developers genuinely feel that Michael Myers is in a good spot right now. And I know I don't. And a lot of people I know feel the same way. Michael Myers, in my opinion, needs a very, very, very heavy set of buffs. This has definitely been the most complex set of buffs I've had to give a character since the Demogorgon. This is a character that has definitely needed the most help in their base kit, which is pretty incredible considering I've had to buff the Trapper and the Wraith already. Myers' base kit is just that flawed, which is really hysterical considering Almo thinks it's good and thinks Myers is happy. Myers is happy that Almo and the design team are happy with this. I think Myers against Red Ranks is pitifully bad. And I think, again, not just Red Ranks, but ranks that know what they're doing. A competent Myers player will lose very hard to competent SWF. Myers gets shreked by Red Rank squads. And which is a shame because this character, you shouldn't be designing this character as just another character. You need to be designing Michael Myers to be good. There are many people that hold the Halloween franchise in their hearts as the best of all time, and this has made them the most money. I'm sure of it. This is the DLC that the most people have probably bought. I don't think they've ever released stats like that, but like, come on, it's Michael fucking Myers. Comes with Survivor Laurie Strode, DS. Like, come on, bro. Just come on. Michael Myers should have been designed to be a top tier, and maybe he was at the time, but power creep and his kit being dated have really come back to bite him in the ass. So what we have here is an attempt to modernize Michael Myers, make him more of a lethal threat, speed him up, and kind of capture the uniqueness of his playstyle. One thing I will say before we get into this is I do have a bit of more of an appreciation for how unique this character is. This character is very hard to design a kit for because he is different. I know he plays like Oni and he kind of plays like Ghostface, but he has some very unique attributes that make designing a kit for him a bit hard. However, this is what I've come up with, and this is who I consider to be my main in this game. If I had to play one killer for the rest of my life, I would play this one. And I really think that this character needs help. And so this is how I would buff Michael Myers. Ba 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 ba. Okay. Base kit changes. I have here a shocking 9 changes. 9. Alright, here we go, boys. Tier 1 movement speed raised to 110. The biggest issues with Myers are ironically Tier 1 and Tier 3. He's at a state right now where Tier 1 is too weak, and Tier 3 is also too weak. They think he's at a level where he's just super ultra stealth man at the start and then super strong when he hits Tier 3. He's not any of those things. He's super weak in Tier 1 and he's above average. He's like above average, sure, but like if anyone's injured, he's average in Tier 3. He's slightly above average in Tier 3. That's not what they were going for, I don't think. They're trying to make him hyper ultra stealth man in Tier 1 and big rock slayer in Tier 3. So let's make him that. Tier 1, movement speed raised to 110. 105 is just not good enough. He can't hit the map in 105. He just can't hit the map. He's not fast enough. So that's the first base kit change. Second base kit change. Hitting a survivor in Tier 1 puts you in Tier 2 instantly. So it's an alternative way to get out of Tier 1. You run up, you see a survivor, you got 110, boom, hit him in Tier 1, you tier up instantly to Tier 2. So you're in tier 2 without even having to stalk anybody. Next, tier 1 gets a fixed stalk rate, i.e. Ghostface. Ghostface is Myers' Bane. Ghostface is just better Myers. And really, it's not even really better Myers, he's better Wraith, TBH. But tier 1 getting a fixed stalk rate would be so nice so you can stalk from a distance. You can actually use people not seeing you to your advantage. Everybody's more than equipped to deal with his 105 ass. He's really tall. The white mask blends. He doesn't have the best stealth kit in the entire world. Especially on maps like McMillan and Autohaven, the new Autohaven. Like, he just sticks out, bro. He just sticks out. So a fixed stalk rate would really help him get out of tier 1 faster. Next, the add-on Memorial Flower is based on Myers. Not the green one, the yellow one. This is a fair change. The stock rate without these add-ons is kind of slow. So in keeping with the theme of making the yellow and the commons base where we can, Memorial Flower is definitely the one that he needs base to speed him up a little bit. Notice that all these changes are dedicated to helping him stalk, because the thing he's trying to do is just too hard for him to do right now against good players. Next, survivors don't run out of stalk. It's really irritating when you're trying to stalk somebody and they don't have stalk. It's a very stupid limitation that the character no longer needs. Get rid of it. Next, hitting a healthy survivor fills up the stock by 10%. Oni's fills it up 40%, so this is more than fair. Another problem with Myers is that stalking is separate from hitting people. By combining them even a little bit, you already help the character go off. Obviously, if he's at 90, it would go up to 99. You would have to manually put yourself in tier 3. But by making hitting people a direct feed into your win condition, it really helps. Next, hitting an injured survivor fills the stock up by 15%. By this little boost would go miles for helping him play the game. And we're trying to make the Myers Memorial and the Memorial Flower not as important in his kit anymore. Next, Tier 3 gets reduced pallet stuns by 25%, and Tier 3 gets pallet breaking speed increased by 10%. So you get him kind of a base enduring and a base brutal when he's in Tier 3, to make Tier 3 although just a little bit more threatening. And now, after all of that, we finally have a base kit that's ready. Embarrassing that you think this base kit is in a good spot. Only after 9 huge changes do I really feel like we're finally at a position where we can start buffing this character. This base kit is flawed. Even if you don't want to do all this, even if only some of it looks appealing, the fact that people think Myers is in a good spot right now is completely ridiculous. Myers not only is weak, but he has been weak for a very long time. Okay, and he doesn't deserve to be. He's Michael fucking Myers. Okay, so let's go through here. Now, again, this kit was very hard to design an add-on, a kit of add-ons for. To the point where, like, almost all of these are just miscellaneous. Now, there is some stuff that we kind of did here. For example, a lot of every gray add-on has a tier 1 effect. And then the tier 3 stuff is kind of reserved toward the greens, purples, and iridescents, and the yellow stuff is kind of reserved for the tier 2. Some yellow, some green, reserved for tier 2. So, like, yellows and greens are kind of in between. Purples and iridescents are mostly tier 3. And the commons for tier 1. That was the best I could do for a kit like this. He's just, that's why I have a new appreciation for his uniqueness, because Michael Myers is not a character you give add-on families to. He's just not. And we'll go into why when we start discussing some of his more well-known families. We'll start with this. Tacky earrings. Behavior. Slightly increases stalking movement speed. Truly terrible. Truly pathetic. This series of add-ons does absolutely nothing for this character. 0. Because you can turn your camera, and that's better to helping you retain stalk than moving. Because you don't want the movement's so bad that no buff to it's going to make it good. So, unless you can stalk while moving 115, but that's not happening. So, here's mine. Tier 1 can stalk through the walls. It's tier 1, guys. This is the kind of broken shit you have to give tier 1 for it to be good. And for it to be usable. And the thing with all this tier 1 shit is, like, even all these buffs up here, every buff to tier 1 is dedicated to getting out of it. It's not like you want to be in tier 1 the rest of the match. It's impossible for you to be in tier 1 the rest of the match. The second you hit a survivor, you go to tier 2. Every tier 1 change should be dedicated to getting out of tier 1 with the exception of the obvious, which we'll get to. But stalking through the walls on tier 1 would be really, really, really nice. And and by the way, this add-on's still bad because when you're designing a kit around tier 1, you want to be out of tier 1 as fast as fucking possible. And the reason that I still think this add-on is bad is that I think we have enough base kit stuff up here to make tier 1 alright. But if you really feel like you need the extra boost, that one right here. Keeping with that theme though, Judas Journal. Behavior. You become obsessed with one survivor, increases the amount of evil game and stalking. That's just not worth it. I don't think that's what I did. First of all, it generates an obsession, which means if there's no DS, you won't know about it. And that effect is not worth not knowing about DS more. When you run anything to have to do with the obsession, you have to consider this. If there's no decisive strike, is it worth not knowing it? For something like Demogorgon and Say the Best for Last, it's absolutely worth it. For this, no. Not with Judith Myers Memorial in the game. So, my version is this. Tier 2 Myers can stalk through the walls for 3 seconds. Slightly reduces the rate that evil is gained when stalking through the walls. When stalking through the walls, the survivor can see Myers' aura. This has a cooldown of 20 seconds. So, if you're at like a weird, irritating spot, like a jungle gym or something, you can still suck a little bit more juice out of them. It would be kind of cute. It would obviously, it's balanced because you can't do it forever, and then it reduces the rate at which it occurs, and you can only do it for about 3 seconds with a reduced rate. But if you're getting there and they're on an irritating tile, something like this can help come in clutch to start securing your tier 3 to have to prime it to get ready for your instant downs. Whereas this could save you a lot of time if you get to something like a Longwall Jungle Gym or a Haddonfield fence tile or just anything like that. You could, if you're like almost there, then you finally get there, you're ready to prime it. There's no need to like round the corner and then do it, and then they round another corner. This could potentially save you like 10 seconds. So I think this could be a really good new effect. Next, Reflective Fragment. Now this is one of the only families I came up with, but it's like you'll see what I mean. Behavior. Stalking a survivor for 1 second with an evil within 2 reveals their aura for 2 seconds. That's not great. It's just not that great. Next, make this a comment, because if you notice, Myers doesn't have the add-on kit that the rest of the killers have yet. He's still got one he has 3 commons, which isn't in line with the rest of them. So anyway, make it a common. When tiering up from tier 1, all survivors cross-map give off a scream notification. Pretty sick. Gives you some information. You tier up, you instantly know where everyone is. That will inherently make your map presence better. And everyone knows you're playing Myers as soon as the queue comes in. So why not you get a little something too from tiering up from tier 1. In most games, it'll only occur once. I say most games because we'll get there. We have another gimmick add-on. So gives you some good information. It's kind of like a cross-map static blast. This is the kind of stuff you have to make tier 1 good, which is really funny. Next, Glass Fragment. Behavior. When stalking a survivor for 1 second, an evil within 1 reveals their aura for 3 seconds. Okay, you don't want to be stalking very much in evil within 1. You don't want to center a kit around evil within 1. So, here's mine. Upon entering/re-entering tier 2, obviously down from tier 3, all survivors within 32 meters give off a scream notification. So it's kind of going with your Scream for Myers gameplay. It gives you one final chance to get a scream notification when you get out of tier 3 or enter up from tier 2. So it can direct you when you get into tier 2. It's one of those things that can let you know. Obviously it's a little weaker than the common, because the common only occurs, the commons cross map, but the trade-off is it may be a little weaker, but you get it multiple times a game where you can tier down from tier 3 and then still get it. So, and this add-on is so powerful, it can even win you a game. This is what I'm talking about. We're designing a kit where Myers' yellows can win him games. And that's the kind of design I feel like Michael Myers deserves. This character's a fucking icon, and you're giving him garbage. I can't stand it. It legit infuriates me. Okay, next one. Mirror Shard. Behavior. Stalking a survivor for 1 second with evil within 2 reveals their aura. Now, admittedly, this isn't bad, but I think the Scream family is better. So mine, when entering tier 3, all survivors give off a scream notification. So this one is when you tier up and even within 3, all survivors cross map give off a scream notification. Now again, you may think, wow, that's busted. Yeah, but Myers is baseline killer, so it's fine. And what's he gonna, like, if this was Oni, it might be a little more broken, but it's Myers. So giving him effective movement in tier 3 is okay, because he only gets tier 3 for like fucking, what is it, 60? Like, he doesn't get tier 3, I think he gets it for a minute with Hairbow, which is the one we kept, spoilers. But, so yeah, it can direct you where to go. Even if they're not within 32 meters, you'll kind of have a rough idea of where to go to chain your next play together, if you're going to do a slug game. Although, the information still is nice, so I think this is good. This is a nice add-on, it helps him out when he's in tier 3, and it helps this family out. Next, blonde hair. This is the family that doesn't work, okay? The blonde hair, hair and brush, fragrant tuft of, not fragrant tuft of hair. Blonde hair, hairbrush, hair bow, lock of hair. Like, this is the family of add-ons that just doesn't work, okay? And I guess fragrant tuft of hair is kind of a boost, but we gave fragrant tuft of hair into effect. But, okay. And the reason this family doesn't work is that there's no point to running the common or the uncommon. Whereas on a kit like the Demogorgons, where we went earlier, like, that's 6 stacks to say the last one is still okay. Tier 3, that slight reduction, that slight increase to stock is only worth it from the green one. And then, of course, on the purple one, it gets even worse and is really bad. But yeah, it doesn't work, bruh. So, we kind of, like, we keeping the exposed theme here, though, because it's going for tier 3 stuff. So here's what I came up with. Behavior. Slightly increase evil within 3 duration. Slightly decreases the amount of evil required to reach tier 3 for the first time. Okay, mine. The survivor that you tier up on in tier 1 becomes exposed for 45 seconds. Okay? So you're putting all this time in for tier 1 to get them to you know, stalk, to get out of tier 1, to have access to the game, and then you have to fucking chase them. Then you still have to get 2 hits on them. This add-on right here, you tier up, boom, the survivor or slash survivors, because you cannot hit more than one, that you tier up on become basically marked. It gives them the ghost faces, but it gives them ghost faces mark power. So you immediately get your tier up, boom, they're exposed, you get it down, bam, you're started. Again, it kind of helps, it helps the stalk feed in to your lethality, which it doesn't. The Mother Myers' problems is the stalking you get feeding into your lethality isn't happening enough. So an add-on like this, you tier up, and then you're rewarded for your stalk by getting an instant down on the guy you tier up on. Bruh, that's beautiful. Mwah! This is actually a very, very good add-on, I think. It's also just fair. Like, this could arguably be a base kit change, if you want to know the truth. This could arguably be a base kit change. That when Myers tiers 2, the guys he tiers up on could be instant downs. That's fair. It would let him be rewarded for his stock. So, I think that's a nice add-on. And again, it's a nice once per game usage, provided you're not running another add-on. I think it's this one right here, yeah. What you've noticed here is that through our base kit changes and all these add-ons, tier 1's now kind of an option again. With the base kit, the base speed increase, the options to, like, tier up and they become exposed, give off scream notifications, tier 1 has some trash. Has some dirt, if you will. So, for the next add-on in the Hairbow family, Hairbrush. Behavior moderately increases 3 duration, slightly increases. Okay, we're still not there yet. It's still not worth that slight increase to the amount of evil that's required to reach tier 3. So check this out. While in tier 2, stunning Myers with a pallet will cause the survivor to become exposed for 45 seconds. He will also go back to tier 1 with 99 stalk. This has a cooldown of 80 seconds. So, you get knocked down to tier 1 again and expose them. So, they're running from the pallet. You kick the pallet, boom, you tier back up, and then you could, if you could have some of, maybe not this dirt, or if you think you can get them with 110, you could even go get 2 exposes back to back. That might be cute. Might be a gimmick. Or you could run something like hairbrush, and glass fragment again, so you can give off the screen notifications again, or not glass fragment, or reflective fragment again. Or what was this one right here? That's not really worth it. But there's some dirt here. Is the point? Now that we have a tier 1 kit that's kind of gimmicky, and we have some stuff, this might be worth it. This might be worth it. And if you can actually get that survivor with 110 movement speed, you could have another expose prime. So tier 1 is automatically more of a resource now. So you see what I mean about the kits? This would make Myers unique. This would make Myers diverse. What we're doing here is we're not doing Ghostface and we're not doing Oni, but we're still giving him weird gimmicky effects. That Myers is the king of gimmicky effects. If he could be, if you give him something like this. So there's definitely options here in dirt that you could do by going back into tier 1 to reuse some of the dirt we gave him. Because again, with tier 1 being more of a resource, you getting knocked back into it might not be the worst thing in the entire world. It could be a cute little gimmick. And again, it would make the hairbrush more valuable because, again, the effect it currently has isn't actually worth it. Okay, next, the hairbow. Now we're talking. Considerably increases evil within 3 duration, increases the amount of evil. Now it's worth it. This one, you leave alone. This one's seeing the play right now. This one's doing what it's doing. This one is the one you leave the way it is. Which brings us to the purple one. Lock of Hair. Tremendously increases the duration, moderately increases the amount of evil required to reach evil within 3. Okay, now you get to the point where the same problem is that increase to the amount of evil you need makes this not worth it. So we have a dead slot here that no one's running right now. So what are we doing with this? Pulling someone to the dying state with evil within 3 causes all survivors and terrorists to give off a scream notification. Just the Scream for Myers effect. Just the Scream for Myers effect as an add-on. It may not be good with the hairbow, but getting infectious as a fucking add-on slot, opening up a perk on Myers, bruh, you don't want Myers to open up a perk slot. Myers having a diverse set of perks, that you don't want that, because he obviously needs Ruin Undying, and he needs Infectious, and if you trust Ruin Undying, I guess you could throw on Barbecue, but maybe Pop, you see, Corrupt Intervention, he needs that still. Myers has a perk problem. So giving him Infectious and opening up a perk slot, that might be good. But obviously, if you make tier 1 better, he might not need Corrupt Intervention. Myers has a few problems. Myers has issues, but Myers' issues can only be solved through a buff to add-ons and a buff to base kit. Once you buff Myers' add-ons and base kit, you might have a character that can do Ruin Undying, Pop, Barbecue. Really. Really. Alright, next. So yeah, Infectious as Lock of Hair. Next, Memorial Flower. Behavior slightly increases the gain of stalking. We may have made that base, but we can still leave it alone. In fact, same thing for the Judith Myers Memorial. You can just leave that alone. But here's the thing. Now that we have tier 3 effects doing damage, and semi-reliable tier 1 setups, better tier 2 bullshit, and better tier 2 dirt, less of an emphasis on the bow, because right now, a big reason that the Memorial Flower and the Memorial are so required is there is too much of an emphasis on the hair bow right now, and a shit base kit that can't do anything. So, by buffing the base kit and then buffing the rest of the shit, so we have less of an emphasis on the hair bow, these might not be that good. They might not be worth it. For real. You might be able to get to tier 3 reliably without these to the point where these are just stupid. So, if you put this kit in, these add-ons might be bad. So that's why you can leave them alone. I really don't think they'd be that great in this base kit. I mean, they do their job. You get your tier 3 down faster, but you probably wouldn't need them, is my point. And when you have since Ingers, in my base kits, since Ingers fill up the stock rates, it might be better to get the Ingers than rely on an increased stock rate from these 2 add-ons. So again, I really think these add-ons in this kit would not be that oppressive and they wouldn't be that good. I mean, that's just what I think. I think, looking at this, I think we have a kit here that's way more diverse and doesn't need this stuff. So you can leave him alone. Jewelry. Oh, here comes the real dirt, bruh. Moderately increases stalking movement speed. Okay, we already went over why that effect sucks. It doesn't matter how much you increase the movement speed while stalking, it's still shit. So, what are we doing with it? Check this out. Upon Myers vaulting a window, the window is blocked by the entity. For all survivors, it's blocked until Myers vaults again. So now we're making use of that vault buff that we get. We give Myers a base bamboozle, another one of his better perks. I still think bamboozle's power level is at the power of a yellow, so that's why I gave it. But giving Myers bamboozle in his base kit, especially when we start going up and a lot of the synergy with some of this other stuff starts dying, this might be what you want to throw on some of the other stuff we have up here. So, I think this would have some utility, and you'll probably see why. As we start getting to some of the stuff that doesn't have a lot of synergy, this might be the thing that people run. Next, Dead Rabbit. Dead Rabbit's fine, leave it alone. It's a base monitor and abuse, which is another perk he uses. So, yeah, that's fine. Dead Rabbit's great. Jewelry Box. Considerably increases stalking movement speed. Shit, that's just fucking shit, bro. Okay, check this out. Upon entering/re-entering Tier 2, Myers gains undetectable for 60 seconds. All healing survivors' auras can be seen within 24 meters. So we give them a... So basically, you tier up, you now have 60 more seconds to use undetectable. Where instead of when you instantly losing it, when you hit Tier 2 from Tier 3, you now get 60 seconds of undetectable, which again, you can then use that 60 seconds of undetectable to sneak up on more people, get more stock, get a few more hits, get ready for Tier 3. Good Myers players might be able to use this add-on to get their Tier 3 primed. And then, of course, it has a 40-second cooldown, which, by the way, if you might need to make that cooldown a little bigger, because Tier 3 duration is actually fucking longer than that, right? It's like 45 seconds in Tier 3. Well, I mean, cooldown when the effect is over. So if you Tier 3, obviously you lose the undetectable and then it goes on cooldown. And then you might need to make that cooldown bigger, the more I think about it. Let's make that cooldown bigger. I'm making a change. Has a cooldown of, let's go 80 seconds. And another reason it has a cooldown is I didn't want this dirt to be too oppressive, where I don't want the dirt where you re-enter Tier 2, where you get undetectable for 60 seconds after you tier up, and then you get hit with a pallet when you combine it with hairbrush, get knocked back down, and then get undetectable again. So obviously the cooldowns are there to prevent so much dirt. I think the combo does actually work, but it's to prevent an overuse of it. It's still a neat little thing. Myers getting more undetectable. Mwah. Very, very good. Very good, lads. And maybe another thing you could do is potentially lower the amount of undetectable you get. So maybe not increase the cooldown, but maybe 30 seconds of undetectable. I don't know. The more I look at this, the stronger I think it actually is. But that's the thing when you're trying to buff Myers, bro. Next, Boyfriend's Memo, Scratch Mirror. We left this combo the same, except we buffed Boyfriend's Memo, so it moderately increases the Shapes Lunge in Tier 1, and since we buffed Tier 1's movement speed to 110, we decreased it by 5%. So it was back to 105. And we give Scratch Mirror a nice little clause. All blood point totals are applied to the end of the match instead. So all the blood points you get from Scratch Mirror the 200% blood points are applied to your score after the match instead of being in the deviousness category. Then, running Scratch Mirror gives your map offerings priority. So every time you run Scratch Mirror, you're guaranteed to go to the map you want. So you can't get Scratch Mirror on like fucking Blood Lodge or something stupid. It makes sure you always get the map you want to make the combo work. I think that would be a very nice quality of life change. Next, the Godforsaken Vanity Mirror. Behavior. Stalking Evil Within 2 reveals auras for 16 meters. Can't progress past Evil Within 2. You know, that would be cute if it didn't decrease your movement speed. That'd be alright if it didn't do that. But since it does that, not worth it. When will behavior and survivors realize that stealth doesn't actually matter? That's why Blight's Compound 21 was okay back when it was 16 meters. But, you know, because Blight has to chase you. So, and chasing is better than... if he can see you, it doesn't matter if he can see you if he's weak. That's why the old doctor was bad. But, so what do we do with this shit? Start the match in Tier 2. Myers retains undetectable until hitting a survivor. In Tier 3, getting stunned by a pallet will cause the pallet to instantly break. Resistance to stuns is increased by 10%. Pallet breaking speeds increased by 10%. So you get 20% pallet breaking stuns in Tier 3. And it will buff the pallet resistance from 25 to 35. So you'll almost have Spirit Fury Enduring in Tier 3, is basically what this is doing. Break that pallet, get it out of the way, and then use your extended lunge to make up for the fact that you're not at 50% enduring. I think that would be a nice buff to the Vanity Mirror. Notice that notice that we're correcting a big flaw of this kit. That a lot of our stronger stuff is not tied to increasing how much evil is required to get to evil within 3. That puts less of an emphasis on the Judith Myers Memorial and the Memorial Flower. So, it's good. This is good kit, bro. It's good kit. Moving on. Oh, what's that? That's the tombstone piece. Okay? Now, if you've been watching this diligently, you should understand that all of this shit right here, everything we're doing so far, is gonna make the Moris and shit much more OP. And I think these Tombstone piece and the 2 Iridescents are why Behavior is so reluctant to buff Myers. Okay? So, these are the add-ons that, since we're making the base kit better, and since we're making everything else on him better, we're going to tone these down. So this is going to be the... Also, Behavior also said they're nerfing these. Basically, they confirmed that they're going to get nerfed. So, like, you just have to, like, okay, what could they do to make this less strong but still good? Behavior is going to nerf it into the ground. Once they nerf it, it's going to be useless. However, the concept of Moris is still okay. So here's what I came up with. Behavior kills healthy survivors... Kill survivors in evil within 3. Increases the amount of evil required to reach evil within 3. Here's mine. Start the match in... As you can see, this is a lot of shit. Start the match in Tier 2. Disables Myers' ability to stalk. Upon the completion of the 3rd generator, we do this to avoid it being called a late game clutch. It's going to be a mid game option. Myers enters evil within 3 after the 3rd gens pops. He will stay in evil within 3 until he hooks a survivor. Hooking a survivor in Tier 3 obviously will reactivate the ability to stalk. Downing a second survivor while another survivor is slugged in Tier 3 will cause the downed survivor to immediately return to the injured state. So you can't, like, do a infectious fright snowball. But that's the whole point here, though. Upon this happening, gain a token. So you'd have to run infectious. So you down somebody, then you have to down somebody else. And then the slug survivor will then automatically pop up to injured. Once that happens, you get a token. Upon gaining 5 tokens, then you can kill somebody. So you have to get 5 tokens on this add-on. So you have to down 5 survivors while another survivor is down. While in Tier 3. You get this in the mid-game, and it disables your... if you hook somebody, it ends. So this is kind of an alternate win condition. Upon getting 5 tokens, it grants you the ability to kill a survivor by hand. Killing a survivor automatically ends evil within 3. Upon killing a survivor, all slug survivors return to the injured state, and you cannot enter Tier 3 the rest of the game. So after that, you just be baseline 115 after you kill somebody. So there you go. Killing somebody has an activation condition. Lots of drawbacks pre-match where you can't enter, you can't stalk, and you can't, you don't have, like, any power. So it disables, it has no synergy with the rest of the kit since you start in Tier 2, so you can't do any gimmicky Tier 1 stuff, and, like, all the other, so it deletes your synergy from all the Tier 1 kits, and I should say you can't, well, it disables your ability to stalk, so if you were to run the thing that drops you back to Tier 1, you're fucked. Well, then unless you hit somebody, of course, so I guess you could still run that, but it would be stupid. So yeah, so when it happens, you get... But yeah, so this is basically an alternative win condition. Obviously, this would be shit with the emblem system, but we're making MMR better, so... Oh yeah, and then if you feel like you don't need this, you can obviously just hook the survivor and use your free Tier 3. Basically, you walk in, it'll let you just hit people and hit people and hit people. I I should say you can't enter tier 3 at all because of the new. Well, I mean, yeah, you can't enter tier 3 at all because you have to manually enter it. Never mind. See, that's my tombstone piece. As you can see, we've balanced the Mori out by making you have to go and do a bunch of shit. But at very least, it's working. You get the positives are you get a free tier 3, because you don't have to stalk. You get a free tier 3, and the tier 3 is infinite. So you have, if you're gonna make this happen, you have as much time as you need to make it happen. The downside is though you can't use the. I mean, you can. It would just end the tier 3. If you want to start, if you want to use this to just hook, you could. It would just end the tier 3. But that's the point. It gave you a free alternate win condition. That's what I did with the tombstone piece. And the dreaded iridescence. Judas Tombstone. Behavior kills healthy injured survivors in tier 3. Disables ability to stalk evil within 3. Tremendously increases the amount of evil required to reach evil within 3. And decreases the movement speed, which is trash. Here's mine. Another complex add-on. Upon hitting a survivor in evil within 3, gain a token. Upon gaining 2 tokens, grants the ability to kill survivors by hand with evil within 3. Tremendously increases the amount of evil required to reach evil within 3. Decreases the duration of evil within 3. So it's not unlimited, but yeah. So you hit a survivor in tier 3, you gain a token. Upon getting 2, you can kill survivors. Tremendously increasing the amount of evil required to reach evil within 3. Blech. I don't even remember where I was. Decreases the duration of evil within 3. Killing a survivor automatically ends evil within 3. Upon killing a survivor, all slug survivors return to the injured state. You cannot enter tier 3 the rest of the game upon killing a survivor. So, basically, you have to get an infectious play, chain 2 hits, then find a third guy, and then kill them all in one perfect run. And then once you kill someone, you can't enter tier 3 the rest of the game. Your baseline 115. So, I mean, you could combine this with Haribo, but good luck getting all that evil. Good luck getting all that evil, bro. And then, obviously, if the base kit has made it too strong regardless, we would apply more nerfs to it to balance it out. But this is the basic idea. More nerfs you could be where it disables the ability to gain evil by hitting a survivor from the base kit. So so like there's more nerfs you could do to this in the event that this is still too strong. But I think this would balance it out because you have to do the tremendous amount of evil to hit tier 3. So that whole thing is balanced out. And then since this is weaker, you'd still want to be hitting survivors and hooking them as well, I think. So I think this is a good way to make the Moris harder, a little bit more challenging to get. And, however, since this is iridescent, we're going to boost it with Fragrant Tuft of Hair. Behavior is obviously the unlimited tier 3 duration with the amount of evil required to reach it. Mine is hitting a survivor in tier 3 increases the amount of time you stay within evil within 3 by 50%. So, you hit somebody, it's basically like Oni where that gauge will refill. Well, when Oni hits a survivor and the gauge fills up, that's what tier 3 would do. You hit survive. So basically, the idea is that the 2 iridescence combo, since this decreases the amount of time you have in tier 3, hitting a survivor with Fragrant Tuft of Hair with this kit would allow it to go back up. But the downside is you still have to deal with the tremendously amount of evil required to get there. So this is a much more balanced way to keep the Moris in Myers' kit, because the Moris, I feel like, are a part of his identity with this kit. So this will let you keep the Moris in the game, but still balance them out much better by giving you shit to do and downsides with it. This kit is much more effective, I think. And this is something that he's already in the top half of performance, so with a shit kit. So if you gave him a good kit, you would see some really good results on him, and he would probably get to around Freddy's level with this kit. This, admittedly, is designed to be a top tier. I designed this character to be a fucking top tier, because that's what fucking Myers deserves. He deserves nothing less. With this kit, we have new gimmicks. Tier 1 has a way to inflict the exposed status effect. We got a way to get the nurse's calling in there, so we got the discount Oni in there, the discount Ghostface in there. We obviously buffed Scream for Myers a shit ton. We toned down the Moris and the iridescence, but we still kept them in the game, and combined with base kit buffs, they're just going to be a bit more honest, was the goal. Like, yeah, they're still good. They're still meant to be powerful, but they're going to be toned down, and the Myers player actually has to work and show his skill to get those kills. And then, of course, the gimmicky shit to send you back down to tier 1 with a buff to tier 1 kit. The base kit changes to make tier 1 actually fucking usable again. And the tier 3 base buffs to help you out with tier 3 downs. This is a much more diverse kit that actually plays to the uniqueness of the character. Every unique attribute he has is covered here. And there's a lot less emphasis on having to sit there and just hold one button and stalk somebody to make a play happen. This character is now much more active, and this Myers would be much more fun than the one that's currently in the game. The one that's in the game requires you to hold one button and watch a meter go up half the time. He would be much more active and much more fun and much more unique if this was the kit that he had in the game. And I think this is not only better, this is top tier. This is good. I would like this to get in. Even though it won't, and like 50 people will watch this. GG's, everybody. That's my rant on Myers for the day.